According to the NAACP, image is everything. I used to think so too until about 40 years ago. So, a discussion on image and self image would not be complete without the annual quote unquote image making Met Gala 2025. The Met Gala was formerly called the Costume Institute Benefit, and it's the annual fundraising festival held on the first Monday in May for the benefit of the Metropolitan Museum of Art. It's this Costume Institute located in Manhattan. Okay. The Met Gala is popularly regarded as the world's most prestigious and glamorous fashion event. The Met Gala itself, the Metropolitan Museum of Art itself, okay, it's a tax-exempt nonprofit 501c3 and the largest art museum in the U.S. with more than 2 million works of art curated over 17 departments, displayed at 2 locations in New York. The reported revenue was 536 million. Okay, their expenses 321 million. So all the attendees at the Met Gala are given the opportunity to express themselves through fashion, all in the name of art. An invitation is highly sought after. Guests are expected to curate their fashions to match the theme of the annual event, generally what they call in haute couture. Personalities are perceived to be culturally relevant to contemporary society amongst the various professional spheres, including those in fashion, film, television, music, theater, business, sports, social media, and politics. They're invited to attend the Met Gala. Uh, in other words, you're invited to pay 75,000 for your ticket, or if you have a table of 10, 350,000. And the marks of the opening of the Costume Institute's annual fashion exhibit, that's hosted. Many of the attendees are depicted on the covers and pages of Vogue magazine. Now, each year there's a specific theme of that year's Costume Institute exhibition, which sets the tone for the formal attire of the night. Now, fashion executive Anna Wintour, who is the editor-in-chief of Vogue, has chaired or co-chaired the Met Gala since 1995. And for the last 20 years, they've had an honorary chair of the event. So far, there have been 2 melanated people who have chaired the event, honorary chair, that is. Beyonce was given the honor in 2013, and this year the honorary chair is none other than billionaire LeBron James. Our people seem to relate to the theme and fall into it very well. Black superfine, the term dandyism, basically, that they actually use. The term dandy was supposed to have been something that's excellent or first rate. Okay. But the first records of that use of that word is not what a lot of our people think. Okay. It goes back to the 1800s. There was a song that they created called Dandy Jim of Caroline. It was a popular minstrel song from around 1843 or 1844. And like many of the minstrel songs, they were performed by Caucasian people in blackface and written in what they call the faux African American dialect that contains racist slurs and stereotypes. Okay. And in that song, the Jim in the Dandy Jim of Caroline, he's a black man who's depicted as handsome and well-dressed in a way that's intended to be humorous based on a racist notion that fancy dress is too high class for black people. In other words, they were making a mockery of him. Okay. But we had slaves or former slaves, as you see depicted here. It says for generations, the black man dressing in stylish fashion was not just about looking sharp. It was against the backdrop of centuries of enslavement and discrimination, where people of African descent were continually stripped of their dignity and denied personal choices as basic as to what to wear. style became a potent form of cultural defiance and self-expression, as we saw before with Gordon Parks and the camera and so forth. Sometimes it was enslaved people co-opting bits of finery for their Sunday church clothes. And I always wondered where that came from. Is that with a lot of us who go back when going to church, my mother and father and everyone was, oh, you had certain things you had to wear. You get dressed up real nice for your Sunday go to meeting clothes. Okay. So, and I always wondered where that came from. And now I know. Okay. But they had certain dress and certain things. They were dressed in pantaloons and other stylish military garb. Like the gentleman up there is a black general from the French army. Okay. There were people like we saw before with Frederick Douglass. You see him again here. And then also with the W.E.B. Du Bois to his left. They wore dignified, tailored wardrobes that telegraphed flair and confidence and freedom. Okay. Um, and then with W. Du Bois, he was, quote unquote, they said, the dandier of the two, of he and Frederick Douglass. And he was flaunting and flourishing with like gloves and walking sticks and top hats. Okay. He's not shown with that, but there is a gentleman at the very top who is shown in that garb. Okay. Um, but what is our culture? We always talk about Black culture, but when you call yourselves quote unquote Black, what is that? Is there really a Black culture? I mean, there's a video that a young woman put out about Black culture, and when you look at that video, I still ask that same question: is that our culture, or are we just referring to our expectations of the creativity, the talent, and gifts that we bring to everything that we are a part of? Okay. One thing that Obama said, and those who are big supporters of his, and believe it or not, I was one of them. Okay. When he was interviewed and he was dubbed as the first Black president of the United States, and some people miss what he said. He said his comment to that host, he said that I don't think of myself as the first Black president because Black has no standing in law. So we as a people seem to be content with our images and symbols such as grave sites, tombstones, and memoriams, street names and boulevards and statutes. We love what caters to our egos. Never mind that we're killing each other, brutally beating and abusing each other, not doing anything to stop human trafficking or of our babies and of our women. But let's spend a great deal of our money to smell good, look good, and buy the latest brand names. Never mind that we don't own them, and then show off what is Black, super fine and dandy, instead of doing something about what is Black and missing. We should never have done the one thing and left the other undone. So this is my paraphrase to what you see on the screen now. Matthew 23:23. Well, thank you all. I know this has been longer than was expected, but I just want to say that, believe it or not, and contrary to popular belief, we have not yet arrived. We're still trying to compensate for being made to feel less than and feel inferior to what is considered the dominant culture and the standard. And even so, that we have begun, whether consciously or unconsciously, to become complicit in perpetuating our own mental slavery. Next week, we're going to take a look into how this has manifested itself in the form of colorism, okay, and how it affects our melanated youth and especially melanated women. In addition, we'll give the actual definition of the words race, racism, and what being a racist really is. Some of us have a view or an opinion and have not really uh, sat down and actually researched what those words mean. And then we're going to take a look at, once you know that definition, is it possible for reverse racism, reverse discrimination to occur. God bless you. Thank you.